for yourselves or for those who couldn't make the session. So I'm just starting that now.
Cheers, Craig. Thanks everyone for joining in this afternoon as well.
And then, and what I'll do, Vinny, I know last time when I tried to do it in presentation mode, it wasn't that friendly. So I'm just going to have the slides sitting there like this, mate.
Yeah, that's all good, man. As long as everyone can see that, and yeah, I can come talk to it. That's all good, man. Cool. I think we'll kick off, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, Linda's just come in. Sweet. Just in time, Linda. G'day, everyone. Thanks for coming along to the second of these training sessions. We had one earlier today, which I think went reasonably well. So yeah, here's to more of them. So you know, I'll kind of kick in a little bit more around Birst and reporting and analytics and what we're kind of trying to do here with the reporting piece. But I think before we kind of get into that, I just want to talk about the overall approach around the three water collaboration piece, because it's very important to just to have that in the back of our minds, just in terms of why we're actually doing what we're doing, and how does analytics actually feed into some of that. So you know, it's 4 key points that that really hinge, sort of form the baseline for the three waters collaboration. First one, obviously, raising people's capability for a future fit waters business. So you know, a really big part of this is the collaboration between our organisations. So TCC, Western Bay of Plenty, and Watercare. You know, it's an opportunity for us to sort of learn and grow together, and learn from each other, and really just get better at how we conduct our business, especially in the water wastewater industry. You know, how we actually go about our business, what we do, what you guys do. It's not a one-way thing. We aren't perfect, and it's very reciprocal. So we're hoping to learn just as much out of this piece as you guys, because even in the last, I think in the four weeks where we started doing a lot of the development for analytics, you know, a lot of questions, at least in my mind, have come up. It's like, oh yeah, like why don't we do that ourselves as well? Because it makes sense for us to do that. But having seen that, having worked a little bit with Kathy to kind of understand some of the DIA KPI requirements, it opens up another perspective that we potentially don't even get to see it. So it's a really sort of a good opportunity to get that future fit coming into the organisations quickly. Off the back of that, building resilience in sort of to meet the challenges in the region. So while the focus is obviously on TCC Western Bay of Plenty, it's to make sure that, you know, we overcome those challenges that are kind of being presented in our industry. So, you know, sort of making sure we have good retention of our skilled staff, our workforce has the right tools to be able to kind of do their jobs properly. They can get to the tools, it's giving them the right information. So they're kind of using that information, using the data to really become a data-driven business. So, you know, making sure they understand what's going on and they can address those challenges properly and upfront, instead of, you know, like not taking the time to kind of go from one system to the other, not really understanding what to do, but to really have the information, the tools at their fingertips so they can sort of start addressing those challenges. Underpinning all that is obviously delivering on a consistent quality customer experience. So underpinning that is the work that we all do. Is really to the benefit of our customers. So, you know, we're making sure that all residents, TCC Western Bay of Plenty, as well as you know, Watercare, Auckland, we all sort of receive the same great services, delivery of services regardless of where you are. So a lot of the work that we do has synergies, especially in this space, work order and asset management. So we're hoping to kind of bring that across. We share our learnings with you guys and vice versa, so that the overall service that we offer to our residents is sort of top notch. And finally, just setting an exemplar for you know, exemplar standard for water reform. So this is really our opportunity to kind of show New Zealand, you know, sort of the Bay of Plenty way of getting stuck in, getting together to achieve sort of great outcomes for your communities and for the industry as a whole. I think this is the first time a collaboration like this has happened, so it's awesome to kind of, you know, be able to share some of this stuff with you guys, learn from you guys as well, and then, you know, set that exemplar for water reform coming up. So really wanted to sort of set that, sort of, you know, have those 4 pillars underlying a lot of work that we're doing, of which analytics and reporting is sort of one part of, which kind of gets as an outcome of some of these. So
Awesome.
Going on to the next one.
Just before you carry on, Vinny, Kathy, what are you going to give Vinny out of 10 for that explanation?
Oh, Vinny, I reckon we could just pay you a bit of money to share the love. Honestly, on one slide, you have just described a journey of about 4 years, and mainly the last 2 years. So thank you very much, because you guys, we've known you since probably about April, and I think that you've really sort of embraced the outcomes that we were trying to achieve as a joint group. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, that's all good. That's good, and totally committed to this as well. So we want to make sure. And I think it might be. Can you all hear me all right?
Yes, mate.
Yep, cool. Yeah, I think everyone's just jumped on streaming. Yeah, I mean, the intention is that we want to work together on this and like really achieve something good out of all this. So hoping that kind of covers that off, but also reporting and analytics kind of underpins all that. So it's awesome to be able to work with you guys and collaborate on all this. And I think this training session itself was about 3 weeks kind of in planning. I was really hoping to kind of be down there and do this face to face with you guys. There's nothing like sitting in a room and talking to everyone and showing you how some of these things work. Udgush will show you a lot of functionality, and the intention is that you'll kind of have, if you've got 2 screens, have a play around while he's showing you, so it kind of feels a little bit more real. Definitely get into it a little bit more, and that's the way to kind of learn on all this. So we'll kind of cover that off in a little while. So for this specific session, we're obviously going to be going through the Birst Reporting Analytics Suite. We're going to be talking about 2 parts to that. So we're focusing on asset analytics as well as work order analytics. So we've got 4 main learning objectives that we really want to kind of cover from this session, which I hope you take away. We'll start off with giving you a bit of a Birst overview. How do you get to Birst, what it's supposed to do, how do you kind of interact with it, and then get a little bit into the basic understanding and navigation of Birst. No matter what page you go to, the buttons and the clicks that you can do, the top tiles remain more or less the same. So no matter where you are, if you slice and dice something, if you put filters on, how do you take those off, all that kind of stuff. So understanding how the tool actually works. From that, we'll get a little bit more deep dive into asset analytics, so focusing on the asset hierarchies that have been loaded up, the asset views about where things are, an asset 360 page, how you interact with things and the likes, and working off the back of that, a bigger focus on the work order analytics. Now, both of those are related, asset analytics and work order related, work order analytics, because they obviously have common data sets between them. Work order goes against assets and the like. So a bit more of a deep dive around work order analytics and the content that we've created. Just a proviso on that, the stuff that's getting released or that we've released to you guys at the moment is all sort of content that Watercare uses at the moment. So the first part of what we've done is essentially taken the content that we use at Watercare at the moment, taken some stuff out that's probably not relevant, which is very Watercare specific, but largely we've put that content over the TCC and Western Bay of Plenty, the Tauranga and Western Bay of Plenty data set, done a refresh and enabled that functionality for you. So if this is the first step of that journey, it's definitely not the end game by any means. This is literally a lift and shift of what Watercare does. The second part of this, which I'll touch on in the next steps and towards the end of the session, will be a much bigger piece around, what does this actually mean for me? I want to see some specific KPIs, some contract KPI reporting, specific measures or specific ways to slice and dice things or create content which applies to me. That's all kind of that's all in development at the moment. So in the current cycle, that's stuff that we're working on right now, and that happens in parallel. The intention of this session is really just to kind of give you an overview of how Birst works, how you can kind of get into the tool, play around with it, but using your own data set. So we'll get into the Birst overview. So Birst is a cloud-based business intelligence and analytics tool. So it is part of the Infor suite of products. We're obviously a global leader in the business cloud software with a number of organizations that use it. So they look after EAM, the work order system, IPS, which is the billing and the asset management system. Birst kind of sits over the top of that, so it has connectivity into those systems. So we basically take the data out of those systems, do a little bit of data modeling, and present it in a way that you can kind of get in and get some visualize, and you can visualize your data, gain some insights to the business, and you can start creating your own sort of data models and to really help the analytics and insights of within your business. It's supposed to be a higher level view than you would typically get from the source system, because we get that data and we present it up in a way that you can start to look at aggregates, but then drill down into specific areas of focus that you want to sort of drive and look into specific things. So going back to the 4 pillars, really thinking about how do we address those challenges, serve our customers, and make sure we're really sort of setting a good standard to kind of work together and achieve the outcomes for ourselves and in the industry. So and Birst kind of fits into the reporting analytics suite as part of that. So with that, I will, so like I said, there's going to be four sections that we're covering: Birst overview, navigation, asset analytics, and work order analytics. I've got Udgush, who's our senior BI developer on the water care side. He's been involved in creating a lot of the work order analytics content from day one, so he knows the stuff inside out. So I'll pass it over to him to kind of take on from here. I'm still going to be around, so if you've got any questions that you want to ask, feel free to type them into Teams. I'll be answering them as we go. Don't be shy about the question, whether you think if no one else is going to care or interested. It's better to ask that, because if you're thinking about it, chances is someone else is as well. So we definitely want to get to all of those as quick as possible. So feel free to type in any questions as you go along, and I'll be answering them. If I can't answer them, or you do want to ask them in person, we will have a Q&A session towards the end of the training session today. Where we can have a discussion, a conversation about how some of these things work. So if I can't answer anything, or if I need, it's above my technical expertise, I'll lean back on Udgush to kind of jump in and answer them a bit later, but I'll try to get to them as we go along. Well, good, Udgush, all yours, mate. Take it away.
Thanks, Vinny. Hey everyone, my name is Udgush. I'm presenting you the work order analytics and asset management analytics dashboard, and take you through the learning of how Birst in general works and how we can do some of these reporting and understand how we can interact with it. So I'll start sharing my screen. So I am under the Info Mingle homepage. The work order analytics lives under 3 Waters work order. That's the name of the app, Birst Mingle app. So clicking on that would take us to the dashboard. Not looking good. Maybe to refresh it.
You've been in there too many times today, Udgush.
Yeah.
We've just come off another training session just before, so might need to
sign out and
sign out, clear your cache, and kind of go back in. If that does happen to any of you guys as well, it's literally you sign out of Mingle, clear your cache in the browser, and then kind of go back in, and that usually kicks it. It often happens when you've been in for as long as Udgush has, which is probably all morning, and coming up to a 6 hour session now, and going back and forth between a bunch of things. So,
Vinny, it's Wally here. Do we need a specific sign in or anything? Because it's telling me that it doesn't know me.
Just let me have a look for you, Wally. So,
do we just put our username? Is that just our email address, or
no? So you should be able to click on the SSO button. I'm not too sure. Okay. So have you gone past the? I'll send you some instructions. I'll send you some screenshots, Wally, and see if you can get onto those, because I think it's how Mingle's interacting with how Mingle interacts with the TCC homepage or the Western Bay of Plenty homepage. But I'll send you some instructions through, mate.
It's come right now. It's feeling them up. Yeah.
Oh, there we
I
go.
just went out. I just went out and went back in. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
The good old restart always does the trick, eh?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll shut up now.
So yep. So yeah, I logged out and logged back in and launched the 3 waters workout analytics. It took me to the home page. So yeah, so I think first we should probably know about all of these little buttons which are there on the tile, the header tile of the Birst. So we'll start from global navigation menu. So clicking on it tells you what Birst space it is, the data is referring from, and what are the interfaces you have access to. So I imagine some of you would have access to just dashboards, and some of you would have access to dashboard and visualizer, like me. And it also tells us the information at what's my username is, like this is my username here, themes, user settings, support, help, all those good stuff. We'll start from the right hand side now. So there's browse, collection, and dashboards. So clicking on it just shows what all collections and dashboards are available. That's one way of navigating through it. We will look into it in more detail. The second one is the reset. This is for, when you apply a filter or something and want to revert back to the home page, what it was by default. We can just click on it. I can just demonstrate now. You're just resetting it. There's no filters here, so it's the home page, so nothing happens. But yeah, we'll see how that happens in action later on. The quite important one is the filters icon here, the filter drawer is I call it. So clicking on it, you will see the list of filters available on a dashboard. Yeah, here this is a home page. Nothing. There's no objects here, so it's blank. But that's the place where all the filters live in each of the dashboard. The next one is the bookmarks. So this is for creating a view of a dashboard tailored for yourself when you have interacted with it and you want to save it for your future reference. Now, this is the place where it becomes available for later use. We'll see some examples how we can create one and how can we interact with it. The next one is the export option. So this allows us to export the dashboard in a PDF format, printable PDF format. We'll see some examples how it works. The other one is the notifications. This is again, we'll see how it works, but this is just the creating the alert or as an export being automatically emailed out to the user or a group of users at a specific time at a specific frequency. So quite useful feature. We'll see how we can create that one. So that's the pretty much the icons on the tile header tile, which will remain constant as we move along to different dashboards. The below part is the part which is the content, actual content of the dashboard. So currently we are looking at asset work order management analytics, the home page. What it's currently got as 2 buttons of assets and work orders, which are clickable and take us through, launch us to the actual collection of the relevant reporting. So currently, I'm thinking of, let's start with the assets one. Clicking on assets, it launch me up to the asset management analytics reporting collection. So yes, as you see, the tile remain as is. All the notification, export, those options are still there. We will see what is in how we will interact with it. We'll see how we will play with it, but these all remain same. The next thing we just notice here, the content, the home page has changed now because we can see there are 2 drop downs. There's a drop down beside an assets here. There is a drop down beside the summary. So what that actually means. So this drop down, if I just click on it, shows us the list of collections. So collections means the collection of all the dashboards. So we have a collection for assets, we have a collection for work orders, and this administrators is the home page we saw when we launched the home page. The summary we see the here there's drop down there also. They're clicking on this shows us the list of dashboards available in a collection. So asset is a collection and summary is one of the dashboard. Other dashboard we have got is asset 360. So that's the how we see what dashboards are available, and that's the way we can navigate between the dashboards and or between the collections. Other way of navigation is the right hand side, browse collection dashboards, which you saw earlier. So we can navigate it from here also to a specific page whenever we want to. I can probably show you if I want to go back to the home page. I click on the administrator, and for administrator it takes us to the home page, back to the home page. Okay, so that's the basic navigation. Now I'll talk about the what content is available. But before that, let's talk about this orange thing, what is being shown here. So this basically is the filter being applied, filter cards. This is basically filter card. So we can have one filter or more than one filter being applied. So they will all come in between this line and show up in the as orange. So what we currently see is one TCC and WBP filter being applied on asset organization. So basically, I have access to both of them being as developers. So some of you, depending on your user profile and configuration, you may have access to one organization, or you may have both. So it depends on your what's being configured for you. So that's the filters would apply here. The first style here is talks about the is a KPI, basically a number of assets. So it's telling us the number of assets we have in across both the organization. There's 565, 434 number of assets we got. There is a bunch of visual reports here. I'll take a moment to explain, just to give you a description of what it's actually doing. So let's start with the assets by hierarchy. So every asset has a 5-tier hierarchy, as we probably know. So it starts from tier 1 facility description to tier 2 being process, and goes to tier 3, 4, and like till 5, which is actually the asset itself. So that 5-tier hierarchy is being configured in the data model, and this report allows us to see what how many number of assets are in which hierarchy, and the same time allows us to drill down to from one level to another, and roll up to the one level down to roll back to the one to the higher levels. So for example, the TCC network water reticulation is the facility, tier 1 facility, shows 208,000 number of assets. And if we just hover on the colors being depicted here, this shows the split of tier 1 facility description of TCC networks into tier 2 process description, showing like currently I'm hovering of showing you 21,000 and more assets are under treated water. Line valve have got 86,000. The green one shows 99,000 as TW pumping as the tier 2 process. Next levels of hierarchy. So so that's the we got two information. We got the summary in total how many assets are there, and we got the next level down under each facility of how many it's being under each of the process description. This is clickable. We can drill down to further. So I'm clicking on tier 2 process description of treated water. Takes me through to the tier 2 description treated water, and we can see there is no tier 3 for this example. But we may have it. I'll probably use another example. So that's another way everyone just would behave. Another thing I want to talk about. So once we applied a filter or drill down to, if we want to go back to the original, the one way is we to click on the reset option, or it allows sometimes to see here if it is a hierarchy. It allows this the hierarchy being displayed. We can click on the original hierarchy. So in this time, I probably want to just say reset. So it will reset me or to the home page. which was the original page. So I think the pumping has got further drilled down to, yeah, no, I think this is also probably not have, but yeah, they are tier 5 hierarchies. Maybe treatment plant would be the easy good example. If I click on, yep, so ROP water treatment plant, we see filtration tier 2, and then we got tier 3s here, a lot of tier 3s. I click on tier 3 filters, takes me to the set description of tier 4, and then we goes to filter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Further clickable takes you to the actual number or actual assets. So we got the position description, and so we can see. So at time, like that's the other thing, as we click on it, so all these filters are getting applied. So and all entire dashboard has been refreshed, has been filtered for filter for ROP filtration and filter description. To come out of it, I click on original this time. So it goes back to the reset the view by default. So that's the assets by hierarchy. The next one is the asset suburbs. It gives the distribution of assets physically located across the region between Tauranga and Western Bay. So so we can see the Papamoa Beach, Mount Magnai, Pirates Bay are the top 3 suburbs where most assets are located. This point of time, I would like to also show you there is option to maximize a dashlet. So which is, you will find it across each of the reports. So we can either maximize it from this button, or we can double click on asset suburbs or the name. So I just double clicked and it shows up, you know, that dash report is being maximized, and we can see the good view of it. So what is showing as 71,000 for Papamoa Beach assets are there, but these colors are showing what are different type of an assets we have. So we have a whole lot of different types of assets available. So that's for if you want to have a look by type of an asset, we have this report here, number of assets by asset type. It shows the distribution of the number we have here by the type of an assets. So you see water service line, sewer service line, water backflow, water main, and storm service line are our top 5 assets where most assets are, you know, or those types. And then we have the next report here is the asset age. This report, I'll just maximize this. This report shows the age of the assets profiled across in buckets. So in 10 years buckets, we have grouped them together. And this shows the distribution of the assets under those buckets. So we see 76,000 of assets are less than 10-year-old compared to 108,000, which are 11 to 20-year-old, and 81,000 20 to 30-year. Likewise, so we see most assets are less than 30-year-old. And again, the colors here are just the indication of different type of assets we have. So a good way of you know, looking at a particular type of asset, or to make it more, you know, just relevant. This is just quite a high level. So we can select, I will cover the filter part in detail, but there is, I just want to show you there is a visual filtering option available. This is all these bars and chart and, you know, columns, and if the slice of the chart are all selectable as a filter. So how we do it, I will demonstrate using by number of assets by asset type. I'm interested in just looking at sewer main, for example. So I, by left click mouse button, I just hover on sewer main and then drop it on that itself. So the sewer, now the dashboard is filtered for sewer main, and as it is filtered, you can see the new filter card is applied and asset type sewer main. It's 25,000 of those, and we can see, you know, they are in which hierarchy, they are in which suburbs, and we see the age of them, how many of them are or how old they are. There is a detailed report down below, which is the yeah, don't know why not showing. You just click on it. So it's basically this detailed report gives the view of the how many number of like the what you have, what this number is made of. So we just want to look at the individual asset level. So we got asset ID, usage area, the facility. So that information is in the detailed report. That's pretty much on the summary dashboard and these reports. Let's look at what Asset 360 has to offer. So Asset 360 dashboard has not many reports, just basically just one report, which is asset details. Excuse me. So it contains all the relevant attributes of an asset which are there in the data, have been put together and put into one report. And this serves as a purpose of selecting a group of assets, either by asset key, if we know them, the names, or we can look at the at them individually. So for example, I'm just selecting 4 of those. What has been shown 4. So we can that report gets filtered for those 4 assets, and it has the information around there. What is the material, make, description, model, serial number, and the physical dimensions of them: length, width, weight, diameter, height, depth, and all those things. Yeah, so anytime we want to, if we are after a group of assets, what they are want to know what the these information is, the physical dimensions, you come to Asset 360 and search for using the search option here, or if you asset key, or if you know the unit ID, you can do it by the unit ID itself. To come out of the filter, we have option to either hit the reset, or we just can click the X button across the filter card. So this time I'm demonstrating this, clicked on it. The filter is gone away and the whole default page of Asset 3 details comes up. So that's pretty much we have for asset reporting.
Just quickly, just before we move on, Udgush, just
Yep.
one point on Asset 360 reporting. One of the things that we're working on is loading up the historic work order data against the assets as a flat file and having it come into Birst in the coming weeks. So something like that is going to be presented in the Asset 360 view. So the intention is that when you either search for an asset key or a unit ID, eventually, hopefully by the end, well, definitely by the end of this cycle, you'll be able to search for those, either the asset or the unit ID, and see all the historic sort of work order data, but all that sort of complete 360 view as well for a particular asset. So at the moment, it's showing the asset details because that's kind of what we've got in this tab. But eventually, you'll be able to search for that and look at the historic plus the current data from EM as well. So we're going to look to merge that in with the Asset 360 view, and then present it in a combination of work order reporting and asset reporting as well. So definitely watch the space for that. And before we move on to work order reporting, the asset is reporting at the moment is quite relatively basic. Any questions specifically on asset reporting before we go on? If you do think of something, definitely just type it in Teams. I'm in there and I can jump in and answer any questions that you might think of as we move on. All good, Udgush. Continue on, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. So yep, so that's pretty much on the assets. Now let's look at how the other way of navigation. As I mentioned, that one way is we go switch between the collection. Let's take a look at the browse collection of option. There's a right click on the folder. Now we go into the work orders and just click on the first one, overview. Now this takes us to the work orders collection, and we see overview dashboard currently what we are seeing. But let's look at what is all available and what we're going to cover today. So we have 5 dashboards. We have overview, we have a quarter on assets, we have SLA reporting, problems and activities, and status reporting. Overview is the high level overview of some summary information around how many work orders, how many in flight, how many closed, the timeline information, some key reports around work order overview are covered in this overview dashboard. Work orders on assets is the asset view of work orders. So any work order is always associated with an asset. So there is asset. We have asset reporting, which we saw in the asset one, but this one is more relevant, more focused towards the work which is done on assets. So it explores the opportunity to see what info, how can we slice and dice the information in terms of the asset being touched upon by those work orders. So there are some key pieces of reporting, like about the different types of assets being repaired or maintained, and where they physically are, and what the age profile look like. So all this good stuff is under work orders on asset. SLA reporting gives the view of the SLA information which is there for each work order. So some key reports around what the SLA are and how they are. We are closing. How we could be closing with them, and what's the future look like? What's the future? What's coming due as a priority? So SLA reporting has that information. Problems and activities is the problem codes on which the work orders are being raised, which are initiated by customers, and some activities for the child work orders, like what activities being performed under those work orders. So this dashboard explores that aspect of work order data. Status reporting is shows the distribution of work orders by the current status, and some key report on analytics around number of days our work order remains in a status, and a few interesting reports on treatment plants by status, so which we will cover up. So let's looking at the overview. We are on the overview dashboard. Let's jump into it and see what is available here. So yeah, first thing first, so we have filter cards available here. We see not equal to cancelled. So basically there's nothing which is the work order which are cancelled are excluded from the dashboard. Then this is looking across for my access, looking at TCC and Western Bay, and showing the work order type as a network parent and preventive maintenance. So we see the number of work orders reported, 3,501. We see work orders in flight, 3,485. These are the basic KPIs and some measures there, some metrics. Work order reported, work orders closed from reported. There are 16 of those, and then there's total work orders closed of 16. You may notice there is some color pattern here. These 3 have same color. This is a little bit different, but the name is same and the numbers are still same. Then yeah, it doesn't make sense. But then I will explain you in a bit in an example, which will make more sense why they are 2 for closed. Work order timeline report. So this report gives the comparison of work orders being reported by month and versus work orders being field completed by month. So we got to have 2 months of data now, so we can see the line has started forming. So which is looking quite good. So the one feature of this chart is this, since this is using dates, so this is clickable. So this is across everything. Wherever you see the year and month or date attributes on a visual chart, it's all clickable. We can click and drill down to further. So for example, if I just click over on year and month, in any of those. I just use this one and click on it. So it takes me to the week by week view for August month. And so you will notice some change in the view here. The hierarchy has been started showing, and filters being applied. Filter card has been applied, and we see that that's the week by week view. And we can further go down into if we want to see by date per view. So I clicked on 2nd of August week. So we see day by day view of work orders being reported and field completion being happening. So kind to come out from there, so you can click on original, takes you to the default page. Work orders by asset hierarchy. So asset hierarchy we saw in the other asset management reporting. So this is using the same hierarchy, but now what it is showing is the number of work orders done by hierarchy. So by facility basically. So this is all tier 1 facility description. So you see most work is done across for TCC is on TCC networks water rate regulation. Most work for WBP is done on WB networks water rate regulation, and so on. We see some of the reports down which are peaking. We can have a look on those. This is for work orders by departments. Tauranga City Council have 1 department. So all work orders shown here. Western Bay have 3 departments, Central, West, East. So that's the distribution of work orders by departments. Work order by asset type is the distribution of work by the type of an asset being repaired or worked upon. So you see complex water backflow, mechanical, rotating chamber, and valves are top 5 types of an asset being touched upon by the work orders being done. So that's on pretty much on what we got on overview. I will take, once what I'm planning to do is just cover first each of the dashboard and what all reports are there. Then I will explore. I will tell you how to explore it further, how we interact with, how we can filter it, and look at all these other options. Moving on to work orders on assets dashboard. So yeah, this is a quite interesting view of showing the assets which being touched by work being done. So the first key report here is work order by asset age. As we saw that we have asset age profile being done by 10 years bucket. So maximizing it by using maximize button option to see cross TCC and Western Bay currently what I'm seeing. Not, all cancelled have been filtered off, and just looking at network parent and preventive maintenance. So I see classification, basically a comparison of work orders being reported versus the number of assets we have under each of those buckets. So 0 to 10 years old. Less than 10-year-old, we have 17% of work being done on those assets, which are 0 to 10-year-old, but these are around 23% of those assets. Compared to 11 to 20, it's 27% work being done, while the number of assets are 21. So there's a kind of a classification of the assets at the same time, and also the comparison of how many assets we have under each bucket and how much work we are doing compared to the rest of the type of the rest of the age buckets we have. That's pretty much about it. Work orders by asset type. So this is we saw it earlier in the overview, but this is again kind of a repeat there, but it helps to visually select the type of an asset or group of an asset and just look at the age profile. For example, if I just click, select, chamber and walls, just for sake of an example. So the age chart has now changed. we see the profile is different because we see more work is done under 10 years old ones of these asset type, while most assets are which are touched upon by the work are 34% in under 11 to 20 years. So basically it's more work done under 10-year-old, while the most assets are under 11 to 20-year-old. So that kind of different data story you get from by interacting this two charts together. What also we have here, work order by asset location. So this is the physical location of an asset, where they are placed. So this report allows us to, if we are just want to see, don't want to go by the facility or hierarchy, just we want to look at all the assets in a suburb and then want to see what work is being done in that suburb. This chart allows us to do that. We can, for example, there is a Papamoa Beach. I am just visually selecting it. So we see 51 of chamber and walls type of assets being maintained and repaired in Papamoa Beach. Probably this time we don't want to look at the asset types. Maybe we can just remove asset types and then look across all asset types in repaired. And Papamoa Beach, we so got the view of different asset types here now. We have, however, we have also the reported by time. Work orders reported by time view here. We see as we have 2 months of data, we see how many number of work orders are being reported across different months. Yeah. With this, I move to. Oh yeah, there is a detailed report also in the down below. Work orders on assets, which is line by line item of work order. What is being shown in the visual here are being available in this detailed report here. Moving on to SLA reporting. So one thing you have probably seen when I move to SLA reporting, the filters are carrying forward. The filters, whatever we have in other dashboard, and so they have all carried forward except a few types of an asset one, which maybe I think they are not relevant on the SLA reporting one. So that's another feature of all these dashboard. If filter is common. Yep.
Sorry, finish that off, man.
So yeah, filter is which is common, and if it is applied to one dashboard and you navigate to other dashboard, you see filters being applied on the same dashboard.
Okay, man. Just touching on SLA reporting. So SLA reporting is supposed to kind of give you a view of how the work's kind of being done and how it compares to SLA. So things like starting SLA, completion SLA, when things are kind of getting done, how long it's taking. This is different to the work that we're doing at the moment, which is around the contract KPI reporting and development. So it's 2 different pieces. This is kind of a high level overview, just so you can kind of see the status of what jobs are getting done, which ones are getting completed, not completed, whether the starting SLA is being met or breached, to start having the discussions with downers and the like to get a view of what's going on, and then there's additional reporting that we're building on top of this, which is around very specific contract KPIs in terms of how is how are things being measured, which ones aren't being measured, which is kind of going over or under or whatever's happening. So there's definitely overlaps between the two. This is supposed to provide a high level overview, and at the moment we're looking to build out the more detailed overview, focusing specifically on the contract KPIs.
Yep. Thanks, Ben. So yeah. So key reporting available here is work order SLA. So basically we see here, there are basically 2 types of SLAs considered here, work order starting SLA and work orders field completion SLA. And what's being shown here, this is looking at what work has been completed or has been started basically. So we see starting SLA is further split, how the values are breached, met, and not completed, while the field completion also has these fields that breached, met, and completed. So what it is showing us, for example, 142 work orders. What is showing us that starting is breached, and also the field completion has breached the SLAs, while the 664 completion was met, but we started late on them, compared to the 40 of jobs which were completed and also started on time. There are bits like which are not completed, which is basically showing us either they are not started at all, they may, because they may be due in future, or maybe they have been started and they are in their journey. So for example, this completion is not completed means these work orders basically 498 plus 12,000 1,200 1,162. This way we have started, we have done the started the work, but completion is not done, so it means it's in progress. While the 994 are interesting ones, which is we have not started and not completed, basically are the purely future work, which is due. So it may be due in future or may not be due in future. So then it brings up to the work orders due report, second report, which has similar two things: to access work order starting due, work order field completion due, and it has values of due, not due, or date. There is no targets there. One not work order there, but mostly is there. So basically, this is 994 being split across further to see what's being due, what's not being due. 276 jobs we are due on starting as well as completion, while 590 we are due on starting, but they are not yet for field completion, they are not due. While they are 128 where starting and completion both are not due. So basically this can be used to work as derive the priority of the work, this being the last priority, this being first and second, something of that sort. We can use it. There is a detailed report down the below, which is basically a line by line item of each work order, similar to the dashboards. Can show, we can see it is using target started and target completion date for the SLAs, and work order actual start date and field completion date for the actual ones. That's on SLA reporting. Going to problems and activities dashboard. So we see here, so work orders 3,501, same as on the overview. Kept it here for just to when we visually filter it, so that we can measure total number of work orders as we apply the filters. And the key reports here are work order by SR problem codes. I'm just maximize it. There is a little I here, which is a description. So you may find it not on all dashboard, but wherever there is some key description or something of which is relevant or not relevant is being mentioned here. So if I click on, it shows PM type work orders don't have SR problem code. So basically these if you see the SR problem code missing, this is actually all preventive maintenance work doesn't have any problem code, but the network parent type of work is being split by the problem codes. So yeah, we are looking at adding SR problem description, which is still not there in the model, but it's in our backlog to prioritize and get it in this work it into this cycle. So will be should be available. But yeah, if we know about the problem codes by looking at by the name itself, or if you come and look at the EAM, then you can search it by either through the filter or coming to this report and finding out how many are there of those types. The work order activities, which is this is basically derived from child work orders. So only child work orders, network child work orders have activities. No parents and PM type don't have it. So so these are the activities, and the colors are just showing different of the different codes of them. So basically, so that they are all distinguished. So it shows that most activities what on child work is being done is water service line repaired or SPS MAC repaired, or water meter repaired. Yeah, so what's being repaired or replaced by the child work orders can be, reported from by looking at this report. There is a detailed report down below, which is quite a pattern. You must have noticed by now that each dashboard we have this detailed report, which serves the purpose of looking at each work order level, not just as the summary, but if we want to know details of it, which can be looked upon by here. So we have problem codes here. We have activity codes and activity description. I think it's there. And yeah, activity description. Activity description, I cannot see it. Okay. Maybe we can add it. It's not there, but what the key other information is the trade code. So we have, TOM, C, I, and E as a trade code, which is also available in the list of filters. But you can also visually select it. For example, if I just want to look at civil work orders, I just click on TOC, and then this is now filtered for TOC work order list in this report. With this, I move to status reporting. So status reporting is, so this is this looks at what the current status of each work order is, and then displays that into summary form of by this report work orders by current status, shows what's currently being released being released as the status of work orders. 250 work orders are of that type, not of that status. 6 are in the accept status, 73 are on-site, and 551 services stored, and 88 have been on field completed. Yeah, that's interesting. Why this gone to WPP only? But actually, I have access to both of them. So, so that's the distribution of work orders by current status. And what it is currently showing, the other one is average days in a status. So yeah, so this is work orders undergo different status changes. So what we have done is just the key statuses changes have been grouped together, and some analytics has gone into it to find out how many number of days on an average a work order remain in that status. Like, for example, it says that each work order on average remains for around 4 days in accept stage, while 0.3 only for on-site, 0.8 on services stored, and 14.8 days on feed completion at that big, because of the claim process and all those things. What here I have got is the other one, work order status by plant and criticality. Why it is not showing me TCC? There you go. I just apply TCC there. So should show all the plants, and it's updated for both organization. So work order status by plant and criticality. So this chart is a view for treatment plants. What's happening around treatment plants in terms of how many work orders are sitting, how many work orders have been reported on the plants, whether they are water or wastewater. That's by the color of it. And we can have a look of criticality when I talk about how we can. That's an interactive bit. I will show you how we can find out the criticality in this chart in a bit of time. And what I have got here as a detailed report, which is again similar theme, line by line item of work order. All basic most important attributes have been put together here, can be used to look what it forms these visuals. Yeah, so for example, if you just want to see how many work orders, list of work orders which are on site, I just visually select it, and then I go to the detailed report. That's updated just for those 190 work orders. So all one site work orders are here. Right, so that's on the pretty much on the basic part of the dashboards and what report does what. I'll now probably go to overview dashboard first to talk about, yep, so the filters I have coming through. I don't need an on-site filter. I need both of them. Go TCC and Western Bay. And the cancelled one, you don't want to see the cancelled one, so apply. So that's the, here I go. So yeah, so let's look at the filters. So as I clicked on apply the filters. So there's the filter drawer. So here you see a lot of filters are there, but don't get, that's too much, because that's yeah, that's quite common to see, like a lot of filters are there. But then this gives the opportunity to slice and dice this information in different ways of possible. You can want to see by priority, for example, you want to probably see it by service area, or work order department, or by the contractor, or maybe the status or type. So this is all very relevant for work orders. So you can use this to slice and interact with it. So we have some filters already in there, and you would see some filters on the screen itself on the left hand side, which is kind of a very basic or very quite commonly used filters, which is around dates, for example. So we saw dates can be, you can drill down to it as one way. Other way is you select it from start date and end date. So I go start from 1st of August to 24th of August. So we see the dashboard has changed. And yeah, so I forgot about to talk about this one. Now this is a good opportunity I can talk about. So he can see, so as soon as I put the time grain here, so work orders are closed. So what is currently showing is, let's start from here, showing 1087 work orders are reported in this date period, and 1080 are in flight out of same 1087, and 7 have been closed, which have been reported in this period. While total work orders closed is telling us the work orders closed in this date time period, irrespective of when they were raised. While this one just looks at when they were raised for that time period. So this one is across when they were raised, just looks at how many are closed in a time period. So definitely it's included 7 of those, and one work order has been closed in this month, which may have been raised previously. So that's the two KPIs, two metrics here, showing that information explicitly. We can have filters like the type, as I mentioned, network parent and preventive, which is pretty much you can select one and select one of those. We have service area. Just want to look stormwater, for example. Click on stormwater from here. So the view is changed for stormwater. The type of asset, or what the departments split look like, my hierarchy look like. So that's become my one view. Now, the other thing I want to show you, suppose, for example, this is the view you are after, just for example's sake, and you want to save this so that you don't need to apply these filters every time when you come next time or when you access this dashboard. So we can save these views for later use. So how we do it? So that's the bookmarks comes in picture. So we can add bookmarks here. So this bookmarks tab allows us to add. For example, adding is quite simple. We just click on plus and it just start gives you the option to write. So I go TCC, Western Bay, August, for example, network parent, stormwater. So basically whatever filters I have applied, I have put them as my description of my bookmark, and I just put it on green button. So this is all done. So how that works, if I just reset it now by reset button, it will take it to the default, which it has not taken. For example, if I now remove it manually and then try to apply the bookmark, I click on it, so it should then automatically apply the storm water and show successfully applied network parent, and August month has gone now. This filter where list or combination of filters gets stored in a bookmark and you can use it for later purpose. There's option of exporting it of a dashboard. So we can export it as a PDF. We go, you can click on printable PDF or without bothering about this export toggle. But this toggle is, I found it very useful. It says that when it's enabled, exported file will include the filters, collection name, dashboard name, and timestamp, which is could be very useful, so I just toggle it and show you how it exported. Clicked on it. While it is exporting it, we can have a look of the other options which are there in each of the charts. So we looked at the maximize. There is this icon which is there in each of the report, which is called as Dashlet Action. This is what next we're going to explore. But let's look at the PDF which is downloaded. So whole dashboard is downloaded as a PDF, as a screenshot sort of, and we can look at that. And then last shows as the filters and gives you the timestamp. This is being this is showing the current timestamp when the export is done and shows what filters have been applied. So this helps to know if you are looking at a screenshot later on. So that toggle option is quite useful. Looking at the Dashlet Actions. So so let's look at that. So there are quite a lot of options. So let's start from the basic one first. So I will probably take the restrictive filters off and apply the old view of having parent and PM. Now let's look at the view selector. First of thing, so this currently showing, this chart is showing as plain, so we can change it into a table. That's quite possible, and easy enough to just change from one chart to another. This chart allows us to only spleen and table, while there would be some like this one allows other options. You want to make it this as a column instead of a bar, we could do that. Or we can revert back to whatever it was. We can change into this one as table also. So that option is there. And what the option is for exporting. So earlier we saw exporting as a whole dashboard. We can export each dashlet in this report. So we click on, again, the same toggle is there. If it is enabled, you will show, it will capture the filters and timestamp and all those things, and gives you the option of whether you want to export it in Excel or a PDF. Clicking on it, go on this one as PDF, and probably go this one as data to Excel. So this one has downloaded. This is the report. We see in Excel format it has been downloaded. We see the metadata tab is there, which shows timestamp and what filters are being applied to get this data out. We look at the timeline as a PDF. We did that PDF, so that has also done as a PDF, and we see timestamp and the filters being applied there. So we have explored export option. Now let's look at the notification. So there is an option of creating notification either from on the dashboard home tile, the header tile here, or we can do it on a per chart, on a per report level. I'll demonstrate it for a report level. So for example, I want to export this out and send it out to a group of people. So I go click on Dashlet Actions, create notification, give it a name. So for example, work orders by asset hierarchy, and maybe put the email. I'm using mine. I use my personal. Go title, or the name of basically the subject of the report, subject of the email. You can name it as what notification, or you can customize it. You can customize the message. And here you can also, you can put more email addresses, or you can put the delivery email groups. That's also possible, so that it goes to all the recipients. And then it talks, there is option of how often you want to repeat this. So you want to repeat it daily or weekly or a monthly. So you can go weekly, then it'll ask you on what days you want to do. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Don't want to do it on weekends. We can do that. And what time you want to do it. So suit a time, could give it a time whenever you want to, but just select New Zealand as a time zone so that it knows it runs in a New Zealand time. And yeah, and then it shows what report is going out, work order by asset hierarchy. This little filter allows you to see what our filter is going to be applied. You can change it here if you want to. You can configure those filters here in the export. And the last thing is it gives you attachment format. You want to send it as an Excel, including all the details being the filter name, date, timestamp, and all those things. And just hit save. So that's it pretty much, and it gets saved. Yeah, that's the way you create, and then it becomes available under notification center here as an alert notification. And you can later on, if you want to run it manually, it gives you the option to run it manually, and you can edit or delete.
Just on notifications, they're quite a good way to set up either weekly or monthly report notifications, just as little reminders for you to go into Birst and have a look at content, especially towards the end of the month. So like on the 20th, 21st, when the contract dates are, you just have a report kind of email to yourself to go, oh yeah, like just as a mental reminder to kind of go in and check Birst and some look at some numbers. The other thing on the notifications, try to give the notifications relevant titles, and let, if you're setting them up for someone else or to be emailed to someone else, make sure you kind of let them know as well that they will be getting this notification. Don't just set notifications up like I do for Gorsh at all times of days and hours, and he gets notified all the time. But just some good practice around kind of letting people know that, yep, I've set this up, so you'll get this email. But then also when you set it up in a way that if you do ever need to refer back to it and delete the notification, when you get the notification, you know exactly where it's come from, so that you can go, oh yep, like this was created from the work order space, and I know what I need to do to go back to it, or delete it or edit it, and all that kind of stuff. So
yep. Yeah, so that's the way we create notification and from the reports, and we access them from, manage them from notification center. What else option we have? We have save as option, explore and visualizer, which I will touch upon. That's the next thing. There's option of print report and there's option of column selector. Let's spend a bit of time on column selector, which is quite a good feature to interact with it. So one way you interact with by filters, other way you interact it visually through column selectors. So how you may not find it in every report. It may be there in some of them, but not others. That's what I'm demonstrating here. So the where it is there is allows us to look at the information in a more detailed way. For example, I'm showing on asset hierarchy column selectors. So I can see currently it shows us the buyer facilities, the number of work orders, but also it has the other options to look at this information. So the how I probably want to use it, probably go for a treatment plan. For example, here I'm selecting OROP water treatment plant. We can visually select here and just see as a C1 bar 93. But then what the 93, I can probably want to see the 93 work orders. What was the problem code, for example, if it is relevant with the problem code, I'm not too sure. Oh yeah, so we have problem codes of no prob broken and there's some along there missing. Can go with the service area. I think just water is there because there's a water. We can look at the priority. There's a good one. So we can see the 83 work orders are split across what kind of priority work orders being raised on for the treatment plant. We can look at the make and material of the asset on which the work is being done. You can look at, for example, material. This shows up the distribution by material or by make of the asset, if that information is available. Yep, so we see those. There's a criticality code which is there on all most assets. So you see, yeah, so work is being done mostly on one asset, one criticality code. Yeah, so that's kind of a view we can get it from here, and it also it allows, if you come out of it, for example, this is the view you want to see and you just come out of it, so it just remains there. And then you can create a bookmark this. So this bookmark also allows you to save your the column selector options, and you can refer it later. You don't need to do it every time. Yeah, so that's the column selector view. Now let's touch upon what the explore in visualizer and I want to save as. Save as is, I'll start with explore in visualizer first. So as soon as I click on explore in visualizer, so what it is happening is it has taken me out from dashboard view, dashboard interface. So what that I mean is, earlier we saw there were two interfaces, dashboards and visualizer. So I have access to both of them. So I have explored visualizer. I've gone to the visualizer interface of the Birst dashboard, and it has opened up that report in a visualizer and shows me a lot of other options are there. Some of the options are common, which we saw earlier, but then it's showing me, a whole lot of other options. I can drill down or slice or dice the information, or maybe I can change the filters which are there here. I can sort it by different things. I can export this. I can look up as only instead of all, maybe just top 3 or something. And then there's option of saving it. Save as would take you to the if you have that option, you have that X level of access, or create access, you can save it. Or maybe if you're just done with it, you can actually have explored it, what you want to explore, and then come out of it by using the cross button. So there's a lot in there. I'm not going there for now because it's just maybe I just want to save it for the next session. We do the deep dive one. Yeah, so when come out of it, it takes you out to the dashboard. We have come out to the dashboard interface out of visualizer. Other
Yeah,
option.
it's a good point, that one, Udgush. So you covered it off, but so Visualizer is the place where we kind of create all this content, and Dashboard is the spot where all of the content gets published. So we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but Visualizer is the self-service component of it, of reporting as well. So where you want to create your own content, you'll be able to do that in Visualizer. But very, very important, what Udgush touched on there. So with all of these dashlets, everything that you see within Birst, apart from the filter pane on the left or the KPIs across the top, the ones that say 93, 92, 1 and 1, everything else on the page gives you the option to explore via Visualizer. So even though you don't have access to, some of you might not have access to create content, that doesn't stop you from going in and having a play around with the content that's already created. So any table, any graph, any sort of dashlet that you see, you can click on the little drop down, go explore via Visualizer. That opens up Visualizer, which has the data models that we've created. So we've got various attributes and measures created from EAM that you can basically drag and drop and slice and dice data however you want to. We've tried to make them relatively friendly for you to find. So the naming for things like criticality code, it's called criticality code. It's not called some weird name that comes through from EAM or anything like that. So we've tried to make it as sort of user friendly and specific as possible. So when you search for any names and things like that, and drag and drop those things in Explorer and Visualizer, you can kind of do so. And everyone has access to that. So regardless of whether or not you have access to create content yourself or not, definitely would recommend you going into Explorer and Visualizer, having a play around with the data, because it opens up a lot more options beyond just the dashboard view that you see. It lets you interrogate the data however you want to do it. If there's something you don't see in Visualizer or in here that you're not sure of, we haven't imported every field from EAM into the data model and done that. But if you think there's something critical that you want to see in some of the reporting or analytics, definitely call out and we can add that in. So then you can go into Visualizer, explore, and kind of slice and dice based on whatever you're looking at. So very important feature. So don't think that just because I don't have access to create, so I can't play around with the data. You've got the ability to do that, and you can't break it. I'd probably say if you have the ability to create content, you can probably cause a bit of damage. But if you've got read-only access, which most users do, you can definitely go in and play around, and you can't break anything in the underlying data models or the content that you see published. So you can't overwrite anything or anything like that. So I would definitely recommend you go in and have a play around, especially when you're looking at data from EAM and want to see how it comes through into Birst. Sorry, Gus, just thought it was important to cover that off, man.
No, it was. Yep. Thanks, man. Yep. So yeah, we talked about Explorer Visualizer. So yeah, and then there is a save as. Save as is again the similar view of instead of what it does is Explorer Visualizer. It takes you the report and opens up in Visualizer. Then you do change it. Then you allows you to save. While save as is starting, to start it from a copy. You start from the copy of this report and then you start making changes. So as soon as I click on save as, it opens up me the basically report catalog, and I can go in my private folder and save the report there. And then once it is there, I go manually to Visualizer and open it up, then start playing with it. So there are two options of creating their own content, making use of existing one report there using Explorer Visualizer or using save as. Okay, well, yeah, I think what else I want to talk about? I think that's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much, man. Any questions, anyone? I'm open to take.
Yeah, cheers, Gush. I think there's a fair bit that I think we've covered off in some level of detail, and again, my recommendation would be it's a lot to take in. These sessions are recorded, so you can refer back to them at any time. But definitely have a play around go into the tool, slice and dice based on your use cases, have a play around and see what you can do. If you still do get stuck, or if you have questions, definitely reach out to us. I'd probably say via Teams is the best way, because then if we're answering a question for you, we're kind of answering it for everyone else at the same time as well. But if anyone's got any specific questions that we can touch on now, I'm more than happy to field and answer anything.
I've got a question, Vinny.
Yep.
Whereabouts would we go if we wanted to start looking at costs against a work order?
Yes. So at the moment, we correct me if I'm wrong here, Gush, we've got a specific dashboard for work order costs. We haven't enabled that yet because the costs they haven't been coming in yet. So we didn't have that as a dashboard available, particularly for training, because it looks empty at the moment. So once we do have some costs, I think when the first set of claim is kind of finalized, we'll definitely look to pull that in and have that enabled as a cost view as well. I think that we're probably going to once that's enabled, I was going to send out a specific notification and then just maybe have a follow-up session to cover on the follow-up training session, just to cover that cost dashboard. We just haven't covered that yet, just because there's actually nothing there for us to show and train users on, so it might just confuse people.
So is it your intention to set up a separate dashboard? You know how we've got the work orders on assets, SLA reporting, etc.
Definitely.
Would it be a separate work order by cost or something? Cost
definitely.
Yeah,
we've already got that set up. It's literally just hidden at the moment until that data comes through. So yes, it's another one of those dashboards in the drop down.
Yep. So yeah, there is actually no, as Vinny said, there is no data in there, but dashboard is available. It's being hidden because there is nothing there.
Yep. Cool. And just covering the learning objectives again. So again, the intention of the session was to hopefully provide an overview of Birst overview, provide you some basic understanding and navigation within Birst, how you kind of do things, what the different buttons do, how you can use them for what you want to. And like I said before, for things like filters, specific views that you want to look at, none of this is kind of set in stone. So, I'm very conscious that what we've essentially done is taken some of the reporting that we had on the water care side, tailored it a bit to what we think is useful to you guys in terms of what would make sense, how you would use it. If it's not useful, definitely let us know. If if there's something on the page that you're not looking at or the team's not looking at, but you've created your own content or you've explored in Visualizer and you've done something which which makes more sense, definitely let us know, because we're more than happy to kind of replace things. The intention of the collaboration piece is we want to create content that's useful to you, that you use every day, every week, that's actually providing you with the right insights to do the work that you need to do. So if nothing's useful, we're more than happy to take any criticism and change things around and make it more useful to you. So the intention is to have that sort of to create that sort of that feedback loop. And the two things that the biggest part that we touched on was obviously asset analytics and work order analytics. Start to get a bit of a flavor of how the tool works, but with a specific focus on asset analytics and work order analytics. So, but more of a deep dive on how do we kind of use this. So, the next steps, there's a fair bit of development that's kind of coming up in this space. Like I said before, this has literally been a lift and shift of what we kind of use. We're working at the moment to create specific content, so specific sort of KPI reporting, DIA reporting, as well as key customer reporting in the current cycle. So we've been doing a whole bunch of modeling work in the back end to kind of enable some of those features. And the intention is that as soon as those features are those models are created, they've been tested, and we're making sure they're working properly, we'll then start to create the next set of reports for you guys to use, more specifically around sort of contract KPI, DIA reporting, and measures and metrics. From a training perspective, this is literally the first step of that journey. This is not by no means where it ends. This intention of this session was to kind of give you an overview of how things work, how Birst works, what you can do with the tool, how you can interact with it. like I said, definitely go in and play around. We're going to be setting up some follow-up sessions as well. So we'll obviously share the recordings of the training session, have a play around. Well, then the next step of this, we've probably got I think a follow-up session, depending on when what happens with lockdown and things. We really want to do a follow-up session in person, so be down there with you guys to do a bit more of a self-service deep dive into, hey, I've got this use case. How do I do this in Birst? How do I visualize this? How do I get insights out of this? So really kind of getting into the more specific business related questions, and coming back to the 4 pillars that I talked about at the start, really sort of addressing those challenges, solving those problems for yourself and then ultimately the customers, and kind of setting that standard for water reform. So we want to continue to evolve this tool and the analytics and insight space. So really take you on that journey to kind of help us do that. Also, if self-service isn't your thing, we're also going to be setting up some sessions around, lunch and learn sessions. So, once every fortnight, once every month, whatever suits people. Just a chance for people to kind of get together and have a play around and share the ideas that they've kind of been working on. So, hey, I've kind of created this, or did you know that you can kind of do this? That will be in collaboration as well. So it's not just a Tauranga or a Western Bay of Plenty thing. I will definitely have operational staff from water care as well coming along to those sessions. So again, just starting that collaboration piece around, hey, you guys do this, we do this, or what about if you try it like this, or just kind of using the tool as a way to sort of solve those challenges. So the tool is just a tool to kind of get you to what you need to do, but really starting to have those meaningful conversations and understanding how the tool can answer some of those questions. So that definitely a start of a much bigger journey in that sort of reporting analytics space. But there's going to be a fair bit happening. So just keep your eye out, and you'll be hearing a lot more from me in the coming weeks and months. And I think finally, I think Craig's just posted a quick survey. Do you want to touch on that, Craig?
Oh, yes, very quick one. It'll take less than 2 minutes. And as you'll know by now, we always appreciate a little bit of feedback, possibly some things that went well in today's session, and possibly some things that you'd like to know a little bit more. So I appreciate you taking the time to give us a whole bunch of questions. I'll be collating all those. Vinny and I will be collating all those and making sure that we go and get answers if there's anything outstanding. But if there's any additional help and support that you'd like to see upon reflection, please chuck us some comments in that short survey. So much appreciated for you to take the time to do that for us. Thank you.
Definitely, man, definitely. And like I said, we can only improve on these sessions. So if you've got anything, let us know and can go from there. Any other questions from anyone? Any comments? Anything they need to follow back on? I think I've gone through the questions in the chat. Kathy, let me. I'll check your permissions. And just to make sure you should have access to both. So I'll check to make sure with the service desk guys that they have set you up properly, and then we'll try troubleshoot to see what's going on.
I did have access at the beginning to both, and then as I played around with it, it dropped off, and then I got nothing. So I'm guessing it's some sort of refresh I have to do. So
okay, maybe just log off, clear cache, and then kind of go back into it, and then do a refresh, see if that works. Wally, I think if you're still on the call, I'll reach out to you separately, but I think you're having, I think Wally might be having some issues kind of getting into the site, so I'll reach out to him separately as well. But if there's any other issues that you can't get in, definitely reach out, guys. We're more than happy to help. Like I said, we're going to start up a common Teams channel, so you can post up any sort of Birst related question in there. So if so nothing's kind of off limits around what the tool can do or can't do. We're here to sort of answer these questions, because ultimately your success is our success with this tool as well. So we really want to make sure you can do what you need to do, and you're getting the right sort of help that you need to make sure you can do your day to day. Well, I think that covers us off. If there's nothing else from anyone, thank you very much for spending your time with us this afternoon. Hopefully you found that useful, and I'll be in touch as we evolve the reporting suite.
Thanks for your time, Vinny and Ukush.
All good, mate. All good,
Thanks,
Todd.
thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Thanks, team.
Awesome work, guys. Thanks so much, Vinny, Ogdosh. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Vinny and Old Gosh, that was great.
Awesome. Thanks, Kathy.
See ya.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Kathy.
Bye.
Bye.